They moved into a dream house using my years of cash and never told me. When I asked why, Dad snapped, "You were not part of this." I stared and said, "Got it." The next day, Mom texted, "We need $1,200 for the movers." Hours later, the bank froze their loan. Security hauled them out of the house. 17 missed calls. 30 texts. One came from a detective's line. "We really appreciate you being here with us today. It would mean a lot if you could share where you're tuning in from. Just drop your city in the comments." Now let's continue with today's story. I was scrolling through Facebook, half asleep, when I saw it. A photo of my parents and my younger sister Lisa, beaming in front of a sleek, modern house. A sold sign stabbed the manicured lawn, and Lisa's caption read, "Our dream home. Finally ours." My coffee went cold in my hand. For a second, I thought it was a joke, some filter trick or a friend's place they were posing at. But the details hit me like a brick: the granite steps, the double garage, the way Mom clutched Dad's arm like they'd won the lottery. They'd bought a house. A house I didn't know about. My chest tightened as I scrolled back through my texts. No mention. No hint. Just last month, I'd sent Dad $5,000 for a car repair he swore was urgent. Before that, $2,800 to Lisa for art school tuition. She dropped out after 3 weeks. Mom's calls about barely scraping by echoed in my head as I stared at their smug grins. I'd been skipping dinners to send them grocery money. And now this? I dialed Dad, my voice trembling. "You got a new house?" There was a pause. Then his tone cut like glass. "Yeah. We did." "Why? Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, gripping the phone. Another pause, longer. Colder. "Why would we need you there? You're not part of this." The line went dead. I sat there, staring at my cracked phone screen, the room spinning. All those years working overtime, wiring cash, believing I was holding them together. And they'd shut me out of their dream. Lisa's perfect smile burned into me. Mom's proud wave. Dad's casual stance. They didn't just forget me. They erased me. My finger hovered over the photo, torn between smashing the phone and pretending I hadn't seen it. But I had. And that sold sign wasn't just for a house, it was for every lie I'd swallowed. The photo wouldn't leave my head. Those smug faces. That house. A monument to my stupidity. I slumped at my kitchen table, a chipped mug of stale coffee in hand, and let the memories claw their way up. 5 years ago, I got my first decent job, tech support. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Dad called the next week, voice tight, saying their furnace had died. "Just $800, son. We'll pay you back." I sent it. No questions. The money never came back. But the calls kept coming. "Mom's, we're out of gas." "Lisa's, I need books for class, please." I wired it all, month after month, while my own fridge held nothing but ketchup packets and stale bread. I'd see Dad's new golf clubs leaning against the garage. Mom's fresh highlights glinting in the sun. Lisa's latest Coach bag slung over her shoulder. "They're struggling," I told myself, ignoring the math that didn't add up. I grabbed my phone, hands shaking, and called Lisa. Maybe she'd slip. Give me something real. "Hey," I said, forcing calm. "Nice house." She laughed, sharp, like a blade. "Thanks. We deserve this. After everything. You've got your own life, right?" The line clicked off before I could breathe. My own life. A 400 square foot dump with peeling paint and a mattress on the floor. I'd given them everything, $5,000 here, $2,800 there. Hundreds more for emergencies that never ended. They'd been sipping lattes while I choked down instant noodles. And now I was the punchline. Last Thanksgiving slammed into me like a freight train. I'd driven 3 hours to their cramped old rental, arms full of groceries I'd paid for. Turkey. Stuffing. The works. $200 out of my pocket. I spent all day in the kitchen, sweat dripping, while Mom scrolled Pinterest and Dad napped. Lisa strolled in at dusk, reeking of patchouli, tossing a cheap bottle of wine on the counter like it was gold. Family effort, Dad toasted at dinner, smirking as they clinked glasses. I scrubbed pots alone later, their laughter bouncing off the walls. When I asked Lisa to help, she rolled her eyes. "Relax. You're so dramatic." Mom nodded, like I was the problem. I pulled up my bank app, scrolling through transactions. $14,700 over 5 years. Bleeding out in chunks. Every thanks they'd muttered felt like spit in my face. I bought Dad's car. Lisa's tuition. Mom's peace of mind. And they turned it into granite countertops and vaulted ceilings. My apartment's heat flickered as I sat there. I'd skipped fixing it last winter, to send them cash. They weren't broke. They were greedy. I saw Dad teeing off at the country club. Mom bragging about her self-care days. Lisa posing with AirPods I'd never afford. They'd played me. And I'd let them. I paced, fury boiling up my throat. How long had they laughed behind my back? I pictured Lisa's art school dream, 3 weeks of doodling before she bailed. My money vanishing into her bar tabs. Mom's crocodile tears about bills, then her new manicure the next day. Dad's gruff "we'll figure it out after every bailout," followed by a weekend at the driving range. I'd wanted to be the son who fixed things. The brother who showed up. Growing up, we'd had nothing, eviction notices, ramen for weeks. So I swore I'd be their safety net. But they'd woven it into a noose. Dash. I sank onto my sagging couch, the springs groaning under me. My phone buzzed, Mom's name on the screen. I didn't pick up. The voicemail chime hit like a gunshot. Honey, her voice purred, all sugar and venom. We're so excited about the house. Could you send $500 for the curtains? It would mean the world. I laughed, a jagged, broken sound. Curtains. They'd built a palace on my bones, and wanted me to decorate it. I deleted the message, hands trembling, and stared at the wall. Anger burned hot, but beneath it, a hollow ache spread. Years of love I'd poured into people who'd never seen me. Not as family. Just as a checkbook. I wasn't their rock, I was their stepping stone. And that house? It wasn't theirs. It was mine. Every brick. Every nail. Paid for with my sweat, my hunger, my silence. They moved in. Locked the door. And left me standing in the cold. Dash. I woke up to a text from Mom at 7:03 a.m., the screen's glow slicing through the dark. We need $1,200 for the movers. Send it quick, sweetie. Love you. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. Love you, after locking me out of their dream. They still had the gall to tap me like a faucet. I tossed the phone aside, its buzz a wasp in my skull, and pulled up Lisa's Instagram instead. There she was, twirling in a furniture store. A $3,000 leather couch behind her. Caption, new house vibes. Timestamp, yesterday, 4 p.m. hours after Dad called me selfish. She was shopping like a queen. I slammed my laptop shut, the crack echoing in my empty apartment. They weren't just ungrateful. They were shameless. Dash. I couldn't sit still. I dug through my desk, yanking out bank statements, receipts, anything to prove I wasn't crazy. The number stared back. $47,000. A graveyard of my trust. My hand shook as I dialed Dad again. The call rang like a warning bell. He picked up, gruff. What now? You asking for more money? I said, voice tight, after the house? After everything? He snorted, a sound that made my skin crawl. We're moving up, finally. You're jealous. Stop being selfish. We've earned this. Earned it? I saw red. With my money. I paid for your car. Lisa's school. He cut me off. You offered. Don't play martyr now. The line went dead. I stood there, chest heaving. The word martyr, a knife in my ribs. Then my cousin Jake texted. Dude, you okay? Your folks told me about the house. I typed back, frantic. Did they say I helped? A pause. No. Just. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2. Part 2. That they're thrilled. Why? My gut twisted. They'd erased me from the story again. I called Jake, spilling it all, the cash, the lies, the photo. His voice dropped. Wait. They didn't tell you this? But they used your name on the mortgage. Cosigner. I overheard Uncle Rick bragging about it at poker night. The room tilted. Cosigner. My credit. My future shackled to their greed, without a word to me. I hung up, ran to my computer, and pulled my credit report. There it was. A $350,000 loan. My name next to theirs. Panic clawed my throat. I could lose everything if they defaulted. I stumbled to the sink, splashing cold water on my face, but it didn't stop the shaking. They hadn't just taken my money. They'd hijacked my life. I saw it clear now, Dad signing papers with a smirk. Mom nodding along. Lisa. Oblivious or complicit. My apartment's thin walls pressed in. The hum of the fridge a mocking drone. I'd been sleeping on a lumpy futon while they picked out chandeliers. And now? My name was their safety net. If they missed a payment, my credit would tank. My car loan, my lease, my shot at ever owning something for myself, gone. I gripped the counter, knuckles white. Fury and fear warring inside me. How could they? After every late night shift I'd worked. Every no I'd said to myself so I could say yes to them. I called Mom, voice a low growl. You used my name on the mortgage. Silence. Then a shaky laugh. Oh honey, it's just temporary. We needed a boost. Your credit's so good. Temporary. My good credit was from scraping by, not from handouts. You didn't ask me, I said. She sighed, all fake pity. We didn't want to bother you. You're always so busy. Busy keeping them afloat. I hung up, her excuse a slap across my face. Busy. I'd been their mule. And now I was their collateral. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, staring at nothing. The house wasn't just a betrayal. It was a trap. They'd roped me in deeper than I'd ever imagined. And I hadn't even seen the papers. My mind raced. Lawsuits. Bankruptcy. A future I'd never escape. Anger burned, but guilt flickered too. That old voice whispering, I should have known. Should have said no years ago. I pushed it down. This wasn't on me. They'd crossed a line. And I wasn't their pawn anymore. I stood, fists clenched, the weight of their gall sinking in. They thought I'd roll over again. They were wrong. I couldn't let it stand. Their house. My name. My life dangling on their whim. By 8 a.m., I was on the phone with my bank, voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. I didn't authorize a mortgage co-signature. The rep clucked sympathetically, then froze my accounts to stop any more damage. Next, I called the lender. Demanded my name off the loan. Fraudulent use of identity. Each word a hammer. They hesitated. Paperwork, they claimed. But I pushed until they agreed to investigate. By 10 a.m., the realtor called Dad. The deal was stalled. Keys withheld until the mess cleared. I pictured them standing in that half-furnished driveway, bags in hand, and felt a grim flicker of satisfaction. It didn't last. Noon hit and my phone lit up. Security footage from a neighbor's camera later showed them being escorted off the property, Mom wailing. Dad red-faced. Lisa kicking a planter. Then the barrage started. 17 missed calls. 30 texts. A voicemail from Mom so shrill it rattled my speaker. How could you ruin us like this? We're homeless now, she sobbed, as if I torched the place. Dad's text was colder. You were dead to us. Enjoy your lonely life. I stared at the words, heart pounding, rage bubbling like lava. Homeless. They had their old rental. They just wanted the upgrade I'd bankrolled. Lonely. I'd been alone in their world for years. Then the second blow landed. A courier banged on my door, shoving a legal envelope into my hands. Small claims court papers. Lisa suing me for $10,000, claiming I'd verbally promised it for the house and backed out, causing financial distress. My knees buckled. A lie, bold and barefaced, scribbled in her jagged handwriting. I saw her smirk in my mind, plotting this while picking out that damn couch. The summons shook in my grip. Court date in 3 weeks. They weren't just cutting me out. They were trying to bury me. My savings were thin. Legal fees could gut me. And they knew it. I sank onto my couch, the springs creaking like a dirge. My throat burned as I scrolled their texts. Lisa's, you'll pay for this. Mom's, we raised you better. Dad's, ungrateful bastard. Each one a dagger, twisting deeper. I'd stopped their game, and now they were swinging back, fists full of venom. The lawsuit wasn't about money. It was punishment. A public smear to drag me down with them. I imagined the judge's gavel, my name tarnished, my account drained, while they smirked from the gallery. Fear coiled tight, but anger roared louder. They'd chained me to their debt. Now they wanted my last dime as revenge. I called the lender again, voice ablade. Check the cosigner dates. I never signed. They found it. My signature, forged. Sloppy loops that weren't mine. My pulse thundered. Proof they'd crossed into crime. I faxed the bank records, the forged page, my ID, anything to claw my name free. By 4 p.m., the lender confirmed. My removal was processing. The loan flagged for fraud. The house wasn't theirs anymore. They'd be out for good. I leaned back, breath ragged, a strange calm settling in. I hit back. And it felt like breaking chains. But the calls didn't stop. Aunt Karen rang next, her voice dripping judgment. How could you do this to your own blood? I laughed, hollow. Ask them why my name's on their mortgage. She hung up. No reply. Then Uncle Pete, you were tearing us apart. Tearing us. I'd been the glue. And they'd ripped me off like a band-aid. My phone buzzed nonstop, a chorus of guilt I didn't ask for. I silenced it. But the quiet didn't soothe. The lawsuit loomed, a storm cloud ready to crack open. I stood at my window, watching dusk bleed across the sky. They'd turned my fight for freedom into their war, and I was the villain now. My fists clenched, nails biting skin. I'd given them a decade of my sweat, my dreams deferred. And they repaid me, with a forged signature, and a court date. But that spark of power from earlier flickered again, brighter. They thought I'd cave, send the money, beg forgiveness. No more. I'd stop their house. And I'd stop this too. They had underestimated me, and that was their mistake. I woke to my phone vibrating like a jackhammer, texts from cousins I hadn't seen since grade school, voicemails from aunts I'd met twice, all chanting the same dirge. How could you ruin your family? Aunt Karen's Facebook post glowed on my screen, a sanctimonious rant. Some people forget their roots. My coffee turned sour as I scrolled. Each accusation, a fresh lash. No one breathed a word about the $47,000 I'd shoveled their way. The forged mortgage tying me to their greed. Or Lisa's lawsuit demanding $10,000 for a promise I never made. They'd recast me as the selfish son who torched their dream. And the family swallowed it like candy. My inbox overflowed. Fix this. They're hurting. You owe them an apology. Owe them. I'd paid with every scraped together dime, every skipped meal, and now I was their scapegoat. Lisa cranked the betrayal higher mid-morning. Her Instagram flashed up. A selfie in a coffee shop, eyes wet. Captioned, when your own brother stabs you in the back, but you rise above. Comments piled on. Friends. Randos. Even our old algebra teacher. You are so strong. He's trash. My chest crumpled, a hollow pit opening wide. She'd spun me into a monster for likes. A punching bag for her sob story. I wanted to smash the screen. I gave you my life, and you sued me. But my fingers locked, numb with years of buried rage. The family's silence on my side was a roar. No one texted what happened? No one cared why I'd pulled the plug. I was the exile now, branded and banished. I dialed Jen. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2. Part 3. My lawyer friend, voice splintering. They're drowning me in this. She stormed over, blazer sharp as her glare, and ripped into my phone like a hawk. Give me everything. Texts. Emails. That summons. She struck. Paired in an hour, a text chain from mom to dad, leaked by a cousin who'd finally snapped. Greater than he'll cover the movers, then we're done with him, mom wrote. Cool as ice. Lisa's right, he's too needy. Dad's reply. Greater than good riddance. House is ours. He's history. Lisa, to a buddy. Greater than he's so gullible. We've got him wrapped. Jen slid the phone back, eyes blazing. They plan to dump you after the last buck. This is fraud. Coercion. Courts will tear them apart. My gut twisted while scorching my throat. Those words, needy. Gullible. History, were blades, slashing through the sun I tried to be. I sank into my chair, head pounding, the truth a floodlight in my skull. Mom's teary pleas. Dad's gruff grunts. Lisa's smirks. It was a con, choreographed to keep me giving. Every we need you was a snare. Every thanks, a shackle. Jen fired up her laptop. We countersue, for the forgery, emotional distress, all of it. They'll choke on their own lies. So my family. It felt like swallowing razors. But what family? They were a parasite, feeding off my bones. I nodded slow, the choice of brick settling in my chest. Do it, I croaked, throat sandpaper dry. I'm done being their mule. The assault kept rolling. Uncle Pete called, voice thick. You are killing your mother. She's a mess. A second cousin emailed. They sob every night because of you. I laughed, a jagged, broken sound that clogged my lungs. Sob? They'd sob for cash, not me. I saw them huddled in their old rental, scheming, twisting my defiance into their melodrama. Jen gripped my shoulder. They're terrified. The house is toast. The lawsuit's weak. They're scrambling. Terrified. Let them feel the dread I'd carried, chained to their chaos. I'd hauled their burdens until my hands bled, and now they dared call me heartless? I paced my cramped apartment, walls pressing in, anger alive, coal in my ribs. Those messages weren't guilt. They were arrows, fired to yank me back into their web. But Jen's find was a torch. They'd never loved me. Just my wallet. I'd been their grunt. Their fool. Groomed to give until I snapped, then tossed when the house was theirs. My fists balled, nails biting skin. They'd sicked the family on me. Smeared me online. Sued me for a myth. And still thought I'd kneel? No more. I turned to Jen, resolve a steel rod in my spine. Let's hit them hard. She grinned, fierce as thunder. Oh, we'll bury them deep. 3 days after Jen filed the countersuit, my apartment buzzer screeched like a banshee. I knew it was them before I even checked the peephole. Dad's heavy knock. Mom's shrill opened the door. Echoing up the stairwell. I stood frozen, pulse hammering, then swung it wide. There they were. Dad's fists clenched like he'd swing. Mom's eyes puffy with rehearsed tears. Lisa, looking on the steps, jaw tight, arms crossed. You think this is a game? Dad bellowed, stepping in uninvited. I leaned on the doorframe, calm as stone. No. I think it's over. Mom gasped, clutching her chest like I'd stabbed her. Over? We're your family. I laughed, a cold, sharp bark. Family doesn't forge my name or sue me for lies. Dad's face twisted, veins bulging. You froze our house deal. Humiliated us. Security dragged us out like trash. Lisa chimed in, voice venomous. You were pathetic. Sabotaging us out of spite. I held their stares, unflinching. Spite? I paid for your lives. $14,700 worth. You locked newsletters, lied about the amount, and still begged for more. I grabbed a folder from my desk, receipt spilling like confetti, and tossed it on the coffee table. There's your dream. Every cent. I bled for it. Mom's eyes darted to the papers, then away, her sob catching like a bad actress. We didn't mean to hurt you, she whispered. I snorted. You didn't mean to get caught. Jen stepped in then, unannounced, slipping through the open door like a shadow. They didn't, she said, voice cutting the air. She held her phone aloft, screen glowing with those damning texts. Greater than Mom's done with him. Dad's good riddance. Lisa's gullible. Their faces drained white. You planned to ditch me after the house, I said slow, letting it sink in. You used me. Then sued me when I said no. Dad lunged forward, finger jabbing my chest. You were nothing without us. I shoved his hand off, voice low. Then why are you here, begging at nothing's door? Mom switched tactics, tears flowing fresh. We were desperate. The bank took everything. You humiliated us in front of the neighbors. I pictured them escorted out, shouting betrayal to anyone who'd listen, and felt nothing but ice. Probably felt like being erased by your own blood, I said, locking eyes with her. Funny how that stings. Lisa stepped up, sneer curling her lip. You've always been bitter. Jealous. We're a real family. I laughed again, louder, the sound bouncing off the walls. A real family? I was your bank. Not your brother. Jen nodded. And now you're their problem. Court's got the forgery. The texts. You're done. Then the twist hit. A knock, sharp and official. A woman in a gray suit stood there, badge glinting. Detective Harris. Fraud Division. My heart stuttered. Jen's brow furrowed. Harris eyed my parents and Lisa. We've got a warrant. Your realtor tipped us off. That house, you tried to flip it for cash before the ink dried. Using a fake title deed. His name, she nodded at me, was the only legit thing on it. My knees nearly buckled. Flip it? They hadn't just wanted a home. They'd planned a scam. My forged signature, the key. Dad sputtered. That's a lie. But Harris cut him off. Save it. We've got records. Witnesses. You're looking at felony charges. The room spun, a surreal haze. All this time I thought they'd just bled me dry for their dream. But no. They turned me into a pawn in a grift. A quick buck to line their pockets before vanishing. Mom's tears dried fast. She grabbed Dad's arm, whispering, "We can explain." Lisa glared at me, venom pure. "This is your fault. You pushed us to this." I stepped closer, voice ablade. "No. You dug this pit. I just stopped filling it." Harris motioned them out. "Let's go. Station's waiting." Dad resisted, shouting, "We'll sue you too." But Jen smirked. "Try it from a cell." They shuffled out, Harris trailing, and I slammed the door. The thud, a gunshot in the silence. My hands shook, not from fear, but from wild, raw release. I'd faced them. Seen their masks crack. And now the law had them by the throat. Jen clapped my shoulder. "You were free." I nodded, dazed, and moved. 2 weeks later. New town. Small apartment. Bare walls and a squeaky couch. All mine. No calls. No pleas. Just quiet. The countersuit settled fast. They dropped Lisa's claim when the felony case hit. The house was seized. Their scam exposed. And whispers reached me, Dad's bluster fading. Mom's sob story flopping. Lisa scrambling for excuses. I pinned Jen's note to my fridge. Greater than you didn't lose family. You lost leeches. It stared back daily. A quiet truth. I built their world, brick by brick, dollar by dollar, thinking love meant giving until I broke. But love doesn't forge your name or sell you out. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was waking up. Seeing the chains they draped as hugs. Freedom came soft, not in roars, but whispers. The hum of a heater I fixed myself. The clink of a mug I bought with my own cash. They tried to ruin me. But I'd stood tall. And that was the lesson. You don't owe your soul to hands that only take. Peace isn't loud. It's the stillness when you stop carrying their weight and claim your own. I really appreciate you staying until the end of the video. Maybe you've been misunderstood, overlooked, or even hurt by your own family.